and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Most gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, we just come to you today and ask you to be at a meeting here today that the commission might make decisions to best benefit the county, Lord. We just ask that you be with all of our population today, Lord, as they still suffer through the COVID and get everybody back healthy and on their feet, Lord. We ask again that you be here to offer wisdom and guidance to the commission today, Lord. All this we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
I reviewed the minutes, make a motion that we approve them.
Second.
Move second, all in favor?
Aye.
David wanted an executive session personnel right off the bat, so I'll make a motion that how long you need, David?
Well, I'm hoping 10 minutes to cover it.
Personnel, 10 minutes of personnel. That's my motion.
Second.
Move second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, no action in there. AMR?
Good morning. Volume wise, in the last 7 days, we've done 10 transports. And so far for the month of December, we're at 53 transports. And the only thing that we're kind of looking at is just working out the plan for getting some of our ambulance staff vaccinated through the health department. And Tish has been very helpful with that plan. Sounds like that'll be happening later this week. So, anything for me?
Let's see.
Yes, go ahead.
While you're here, typically we send the monthly check out on your contract, like the end of December for January, for the month before.
Sure.
With our budget year, we're actually processing that check with our January 1st payment, and then we'll send the February one later in January. So you guys will get two during January, but
I
then
see.
we'll get you caught back up to January and February.
Okay.
And I think we've done that before too. It just works out with our budget that way.
Sure.
So if they were expecting one to be coming this week, it probably won't get there till next week.
Sure. Yeah, that's no problem. Thanks for letting me know.
Checks in the mail.
Check in the mail.
Now, how
Hey, if
long
you-
mail takes to get there, I can't control.
Right.
If you would, get with Jim, and I don't know, have you been down to Lacey yet? Get with him and try to set up I'd like for you to take a tour of that, and then maybe your other ambulance facilities, if you haven't already toured those,
Sure.
just to get a look at them,
Sure.
the condition that they're in.
Sounds
Some are
good.
Good, some are not.
Sounds good. I'll give you a business card and we can get in touch and schedule something. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Have a good week. Tisha?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Tisha Coleman, Linn County Health Department. I'm going to give you the COVID report today. Total cases for Linn County is 474, which is up about 26 cases since last week. Perhaps not as many due to the holidays or something like that in testing. Total active cases is estimated at 72. Deaths are still at 4. Hospitalized are at 3, and clusters are at 5. So that's in regards to COVID report. Do you have any questions regarding that?
The machine that you got,
Uh-huh.
I know that we got a few cartridges or something, right? I mean, how's that looking?
We've decided not to set it up last week and then move it this week. So we're going to set it up and hopefully get that going. I'm not for sure if we'll get it all set up and going this week, but maybe the next week after that.
Today is the start of your big move?
It is. Yep. We're
You
moving.
excited?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Good.
They're over there moving things right now.
Good.
So, COVID vaccine. We did receive the Moderna vaccine last week. We received approximately 20 doses, and that is for local health department staff and EMS. I've been working with Galen in regards to setting all of that up. Still waiting to get the standing order from CHC in regards to being able to administer that. I have reached out to, so Pfizer was released and Moderna, and Pfizer, they did a pharmacy partnership for long-term care program. And so in my many communications with the assisted living in our county, she has set everything up through them and with them. And I just re-verified all that this morning. And I think I included you guys on that
did.
email. And so then that's the Pfizer. Now then Moderna, it's more geared towards healthcare associated type people. That's where the local health departments and then EMS come into play. And then I think the next phase rollout is healthcare workers, healthcare associated workers. And then we just it's a weekly update that we get from KDHE. So do you have any questions on that? And then I will need 15 minutes for personnel. That's it.
Thank you. Doug?
Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning.
Doug Bartlett, Fire and Emergency Management. I think David's taking care of my significant thing that I came in for. I'll pass that along. That is the current weather forecast. Obviously, I posted on Facebook last night what they were putting out. Last night, they were suggesting minor accumulation, minor impacts. If you look at this new document this morning, it's talking about potential for snow and or ice accumulation causing significant impacts. Looking at the information that's available this morning, it appears that we may be on the very southern edge of that as far as the more major impact zone. Looks like it'll be slightly to our north, but it's hitting our North County line. So a 10 or 15, 30-mile shift in what they're thinking is going to happen could have no impact to us or major impacts to us. We'll just have to wait and see. It's been supposed to start out probably as freezing rain in our area, and then perhaps some snow transitioning to rain by late afternoon or evening tomorrow. And then again, snow on Wednesday. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. We'll be geared up for it and ready to go, have our generators ready and everything through the fire service if anything happens. And then David, do you need anything from me in regards to our transfers or PO? I think that was already all approved.
We got that last week, and I've gone back through everything to make sure we still had the balances we needed, and then I've got some stuff to talk about later, but we're fine.
Okay. Apart from that, I don't think there's anything else I have other than the president signed the CARES Relief Act, or whatever they're calling it this time, which, as my understanding, would give us until December 31st of 2021 to spend our Spark funds. And I expect the state will push something out today in regards to that because it was signed sometime yesterday. So getting moved by December 30th and all the things that we've been working on and planning on now, we have another year to accomplish all that. So that should take the pressure off of those projects. Is there anything you have for me?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Jessica, are you waiting? Are you ready?
Good morning. First of all, I have the agreement between the county and Nation Goods that we talked about last week. Yes, you did this morning. Thank you. Gary got it together for me. This one is just stating that Nation Goods has provided us the documentation to show that they're not double dipping with the loan they got. And they have provided all that documentation. Now we just need to sign this. We awarded the grant last week. So.
Motion to enter into this agreement with Nation Goods to prohibit double dipping.
My motion. Second.
Moving second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I would like to talk about grants for next year. The 3 grants that my office provides annually are the Summer Youth Employment Grant, the Community Development Grant, and the Continuing Education Grant. I'd like to renew those for next year. The Continuing Education Grant and the Community Development Grant are both for $250 grants, so those are both $1,000 for the whole program for the year. The Summer Employment Grant, I would like to, in the past, we've awarded 9 grants. I'd like to do 10 this year. This year we had quite a few applicants and had to kind of hone it down. So I'd like to just add one more to the mix. That would make the total grant for that program $12,000 for the year. The way it works is we will reimburse the employer the first $4 per hour for up to 30 hours a week for a maximum of 10 weeks. The employee has to be between 16 and 21 years of age and a Linn County resident. And then they also have to be make at least $8 an hour. And then the employer submits payroll records by September 1st to get then reimbursed.
Who decides on who gets it?
The Economic Development Committee.
Makes recommendation to the commission and
Yes.
you have final decision.
Right. What, you have criteria for that?
They have to be
No, I understand that, but I mean,
oh, in our decision making. So the first thing we look at is how, so it says entry level positions, but if it's, a more technical position, if it's, like mowing lawns would probably be kind of towards the bottom of the list if we have, quite a few people. So, People's Telecom, for instance, they hired, someone to help with their technology over the summer, and then they ended up transitioning to a full-time employee. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking to help these businesses train people who can then become full-time employees.
okay.
Looking for a motion to approve those three grant programs.
So I don't know if we need a separate motion for each grant or if it matters.
They could be listed all in the motion, David said.
Yeah, and can you give me the listing of what they are so I can
Yes.
try to keep up on?
Yes, I can email that to you.
Thank you.
Yes, and then once they're approved, I will email them to Chris and have him get them on the website.
Unless you want to break them out to approve one and deny another.
In my motion, to approve all three grants as stated.
I'll say, move and second, all in favor?
Thank you.
Is there a deadline on when people have to apply for this?
For the Summer Youth Employment Grant, the deadline is April 1st. And then we will look at the applications in our April Economic Development meeting and make our decisions in April. That way they have a little bit of time before school gets out to try and find
Is
their
it posted
candidates.
on your website?
It will be right after today because you approved it. And then the Community Development Grant and the Continuing Education Grant, they're December 1st.
Does the Chamber of Commerce in all the little towns, if they have one, do they know about your website?
Yeah,
Okay. And it's on our county website as well?
they will be.
Okay.
Yes, the ones for next year will
What
be.
about your
yes.
Facebook?
I'm going to put them there too.
Did you already get that up and going?
Yes, yes. I've had quite a few hits. The Facebook page is going really well. I've got people sharing and following and all that. I put out the drawing that I'm doing for the Shop Local promotion. I've got 10 entries so far. Today is the deadline. I'm going to draw 2 names tomorrow. So I'm excited about that. It doesn't sound like a lot, but I think it's a good start.
Okay, I do too.
And I'm planning on doing one a month and see how it goes. Okay? I need probably 10 minutes for trade secrets.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you.
Chairman, I'd like to spend a few minutes talking about a policy matter, just to clarify some policy. Appropriate to do that. Occasionally, there are complaints about employees, and I want to make it clear how to handle such a thing. We have a grievance procedure in our policy manual, and that grievance procedure typically is thought of as applying when one employee has complained about another employee or a supervisor. But it also applies when an outside citizen has complained about an employee. If, as happens from time to time, someone has a complaint about an employee, first step for them to follow is to submit a written complaint. If they want to actually see the thing followed up on, they need to submit a written complaint. Now, we prefer that a written complaint be on a form that the clerk's office has. And so if anybody would come to me or you or anybody else, say, I've got a complaint, our response needs to be, get a form from the clerk's office, fill it out, and submit it. That initial complaint is submitted or filed with the supervisor of the employee. If it's filed in the clerk's office, that's where they're going to send it, to the supervisor of the employee. And the supervisor of the employee then is responsible for sitting down with the employee, finding out about the circumstances, and attempting to address it. The supervisor may talk to the complaining person, certainly will talk to the employee and see if things can be addressed and worked out. If not, if things are not worked out to the satisfaction of everybody involved, or at least to the acceptance of everybody involved. Then the supervising employee's next step is to prepare a report detailing what has happened, what he has done, put that report in the file, and submit the complaint to the clerk's office. The clerk is the chief personnel officer, and so that's the next step. The clerk's office then will review the files, will review the complaint, the report from the supervisor, and will, in due course, bring it to the commissioners. When it's brought to the commissioners, commissioners will have several options. They can appoint someone to do an investigation of the situation. That's very often the step we take. They can do the investigation themselves if they wish to, although this whole thing is kind of designed to kind of keep the commissioners in a supervisory role rather than down in the dirt role. Or if they really believe that there is no basis for any complaint, they could just arbitrarily, I don't want to use the word arbitrarily, summarily make the decision not to act any further. If perchance the supervisor does not pass that on to the clerk, then after a reasonable period, the complaining citizen would be perfectly justified in bringing it directly to the clerk and saying, look, this is supposed to come because I'm not satisfied with the outcome. Please put this into your process. So the whole point of this is to make sure that there's an organized process by which everybody gets a fair hearing. The whole employees are protected but held accountable. That citizens have the right to ultimately be heard. That's the way the grievance procedure is laid out, and that's how it would apply to a citizen with a complaint about an employee. I just want to cover that before I gave you a copy of that procedure as it kind of breaks down and applies here. And I just wanted to urge you to remember, if somebody comes with a complaint, listen to them. That's, we want to do that, but the proper response then is to say, get a form from the clerk's office and file a written complaint. That's the basis for all the further action. Any questions, commissioners?
None from me.
Thank you.
Tisha, are you you need to, do we need to go ahead and have your session so you can get back over?
She wants to move.
Well, then we'll just I'll make a motion.
You got two more before you go. You want to ask them before we go in there? If they got anything?
I didn't even see her. Robin, you got anything? I already talked to him. I didn't have nothing. I already knew. I'll make a motion that we go in executive session for 15 minutes personnel with Tisha.
Somebody else have something?
Jessica was wanting 10 for trade secrets.
Yeah, and 10 with Jessica for trade secrets.
Second.
Moving second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hey, update him on the facilities. Hey, right. As you see.
It's just this county stamps on you.
Probably just need Jackie then, huh? Well, we gotta act on.
We got a little bit of,
She's got grants.
got a little bit of action. Tisha?
I thought he was. I just wanted to mention that we had received a grant award from KDHE in regards to expanded testing in the amount of $140,128.24. That grant will go through November 30th of 2022. And then also a care resource coordination grant in the amount of $125,670.48. That also goes through November 30th of 2022. These positions are entail expanded testing and then assisting pretty much kind of like what we've been doing this whole time. Anything COVID, pretty much anything COVID related falls into this category. And so with that, I would like to request permission from you guys to advertise for a full-time nurse, maybe on a contract basis, to get that additional support.
I'm in favor of you maximizing them grant dollars for your program best I can. I'll make that motion.
Second.
Move second, all in favor?
Aye.
And
Thank
just to be clear, everybody is clear, I think, that these are not permanent positions. These will be for the life of grant.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it.
Jessica?
I have a petition and consent for annexation for the city of Lacey. This is for 713 Industrial Park Drive in Lacey, Kansas. And we are requesting that that property be annexed into city limits.
So you need a vote to authorize and sign the application for annexation.
I need 2 signatures on it.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Second.
Move second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Just to be clear about this, the purpose for this annexation is to make utilities available on these lots, on this lot, for a potential
Am I right here?
business development.
Jack?
Is that all you got, Jessica?
Yes, that's all I have.
You got public comment.
We'll go ahead and open it up for public comment, if there's anybody that has anything.
Did you have anything, ma'am?
No.
Okay.
Jackie?
Yep.
Bye.
See ya.
Good luck.
Morning.
Morning.
Becky Messer, Public Works Administrator. I had a couple of things to present. This is the solid waste plan that they want. We had a meeting on it last week, and it's just the
Regional
yearly
plan.
review, revised plan. They want,
Put their names in there.
I have a copy of a resolution they want to do, but I told them that I was going to give it to you guys to review this week and then deal with it next week. It's something normal they send, and they'll send the slick versions, but this time they just send an email to save the mail. So I'd like to just present it so we can do a resolution on it next week if everything's, I reviewed it pretty heavily.
And we've already reviewed the Linn County portion of this, right?
Yes,
So this is the overall plan for all 6 counties.
yes. This is what they're going to want to do next week. So I just thought I'd give you a copy to take a look at it. Like I said, I reviewed it pretty heavily, sent them a couple of pages of corrections and changes. We had some problems last week at the landfill. We had some equipment go down and we were shut down for a couple of days, but was able to get it going. Changed out some parts, talked to a lot of people. It was unexpected. The health department, just wanted to give you an update where we are on that. I think Doug was talking earlier that we've had more time and all that, but personally, I don't want to take my foot off the throttle. I want to get it done. I just assume we're working under the same deadlines we were. Here's a little bit of some pictures of what we're looking at this week, where we're at. We've got a lot of little things to finish up. Doorknobs, hanging towel dispensers and stuff like that. I've got several personnel over there from Public Works taking desks apart, loading up trailers. We're going to try to do at least 4 offices today because the weather doesn't look like it's going to be happy for us the rest of the week. I think where we're at on the building is we still have an area of the floor that is going to be redone. The guy came in this weekend and did some test patches. He wants us to look at it, and if we're happy with it, next weekend they're going to go ahead and finish the hallway section that we felt was a little bit of a problem. We've got a lot of electrical to do in the storage area, which doesn't impact operations in a few offices. So moving on pretty well, and like I said, I don't see any reason to slow it down even if in Washington they said you got more time. I don't see any reason to slow the project. Let's get her done. Like I said, didn't have a lot because the week was pretty short staffed with everybody taking vacation. So
You had a lot of people off, or are they back now
yes.
for different reasons? I will just say that.
Yeah, I had a lot of them off. I think we were down last week under 50%, pretty far. A lot of vacation being used, Christmas week, few people getting caught by, normally everybody in the county getting caught by quarantines here and there with kids, so I had some people out on that. We are working today to put equipment in the dump trucks so we can, if we get ice, I mean, it looks like this weather can go either one way or the other. So that was pretty much all I had. I do need personnel for 15. So
I've got all the POs and transfers we discussed coming up to talk to them about, so if you can hang around for that
Okay.
in case they have questions too.
Are you seeing a meeting at the end of the week, Dave?
I think we're gonna need to, because like all these transfers we're gonna need to approve. Got a couple of beer licenses that are still needing to come in. And then I've got a whole bunch of year-end resolutions, so I think we will. Now, we probably could do most of that by phone or something if we needed to, or email, but I have that on my list to talk about before we get out of here too.
So you need 15 minutes personnel. I'd like to have a few minutes for legal.
What's for you, 10?
So I guess, yeah.
I'll make a motion that we go into executive session, 15 minutes personnel with Jackie and 10 minutes legal with Mike.
Second.
Moving second, all in favor?
When's the, is it next Monday or following?
It's the second Monday, so it'd be the 11th, I believe.
So next Monday, if you could, would. End of the meeting.
to avoid that situation for my parents.
She's the one that's old enough to be helpful, watch it there.
Oh. This one's 40, so,
Oh, wow, this one's 15.
yeah.
Ugh.
Good enough to drive Kansas City this morning, huh?
Yeah, I got lucky this week. Yeah. Except for sports. So I'll take them up for that.
No, yeah, I think it's sports this week.
Volleyball.
All right, we ready?
Yep.
Okay, I've got a couple more things that are, well, 2 or 3 more things to bring up. Amanda came over last week and talked a little bit about the COVID benefits for emergency sick leave that we were required to provide through the end of the year under the CARES Act, where if employee was off for up to 2 weeks, we were required to pay that as emergency sick leave and not charge it to their sick leave bank. That did not get extended with the bill that was signed this weekend, from my understanding. So at this point, we are not required to provide that extra benefit anymore, but you can if you want to, and we need to know how you want to handle that going forward with payroll. So I don't know if you guys have thought about that any since last week, or which direction you want to go.
So if somebody gets exposed or becomes positive,
Or, yeah, I mean, they could be quarantined, they could be a positive test. And we've had several people that have received those benefits through this past year, but under federal law now, we're not required to provide that any longer. So it's just a choice of, do you want to continue that or just go back to our normal sick leave policy, and they would have to use their own leave if they're off for those reasons.
If we're able to, I'd like to be, that's my opinion. I'd like to be able to provide it to them. If it's
So,
possible.
so like generally now they get quarantined for 10 versus 14. Normally we were paying all of that as a requirement by federal law.
Yeah, well,
And now it's an option without pay or use sick leave.
well, the option would be, yeah,
Yeah.
if we don't want to continue what we were doing, then they would fall back to them using their own leave. And if they didn't have any leave, they'd have to take it without pay.
was any of that reimbursable? It wasn't to us, was it?
We did turn in some on the Spark funds
CARES
and
Act.
got some of that back, but I mean, that's not going to be going forward. I don't think there'd be any more where it's not a requirement that we pay it.
Most of the funding in there that's going out is mostly to the schools, is it not?
I think so. And we've pretty much used up the money we had anyway with all of our projects. So, and I don't know, I have not looked at individual sick leave records to know how many people have a lot of sick leave available and how many don't.
Per our budget, how would we do that? We just do like a guesstimate of how much paid sick time we're gonna be paying people? Or, how would we even budget for that?
It really isn't going to be, well, for most departments, it's not going to be a budget issue because most of us, take mine as an example. If I've got somebody off, they're just off work. I'm not paying someone else to come in and replace them on those days. Sheriff would be an exception to that. He's got to cover shifts.
Okay,
So
I
it
got
could have an effect on his budget.
I just
I
want to
don't
be
know,
there in person.
Jackie, there might be some project or something at some point where you'd have to have somebody come in extra, but overall, it would be the sheriff that it would really affect budget wise. Other than that, it could have an effect when someone retires because we pay out a quarter of their remaining sick leave when they retire. So if they have more built up, it could cost us a little more down the road somewhere. The maximum that we'd have to pay out, paying a quarter, is 100 hours because we have a cap of 400 on sick leave. So, somebody that's making $15 an hour, we could have to pay out 100 hours of that when they retire. And if they had to use their own sick leave, then we might only have to pay 20 hours of that out. But that's going to be a down the road cost, not right now.
What do you guys think?
Well, I know we had a number of people even last week that was, that's the worst part is when you get the phone call and say, hey, you're quarantined for 14 days and now 10 days. And you have to use your sick leave, especially if you're not really even sick.
Yeah.
That's the bummer part.
Yeah.
If we were even to consider, and I know you kind of mentioned it just now, I'd only want to extend it for like a month just to see. Can we do that? Could we do that?
At this point, I think you can do it for whatever time period.
Yeah, and then let's revisit it once Jim's in commission, and maybe the cases will go way down. That would be my recommendation on it. Extend it by 1 month till the end of 31 January and then revisit it.
Yeah, question too, part of it, will it reset? Like if I use, are you gonna use the first of the year reset, like I use 18 days of it, does that mean I don't get any of it? I mean, it's gonna be a reset.
Yeah, I think the way we were looking at it anyway in the office is we would start over January. So even if you had used it sometime in this past year,
So on a
you'd be
calendar year.
eligible again if we extend the benefit.
So how would it just take it to end of January and then everything stops and then we revisit it and rebuild it, and or if that's what we want to do, or I mean how?
I mean, if that's something you guys as a board want to consider at this point, Rick's suggestion to go just for a month, I think just a motion to extend those benefits till the end of January, and then we take a look at it sometime during January and try to work out a better policy to go on from there would be okay.
Yeah, give us some time to think and
And that'll get
act
us
on
started
part.
for what we need for payroll right now to know what we're doing.
Yeah, because I know you get 6 or 7 people out of the same office or same shop that's down and they're quarantined and they're not really sick at all. It comes out that they're not sick and they've missed 10 days of work, and not to have that or use their sick leave for it. I'd rather do that for a month and see what happens.
Would that be a reset of the clock?
That's what we were talking about, yes.
I think starting a new year, we would look at
Yeah.
reset on that.
Because it's getting really complicated, who's been, who's not.
It is, yeah.
But you're almost down to the end of the year anyway, so you're good.
What do you think, Mike?
I think it'd be a pity not to extend some sort of a benefit. There's some of it seem extenuating, you got a handful of kids and the kids are creating you to be in quarantine, but I don't know how we'd want to differentiate between the health guidelines, CDC guidelines, and I think you just have to follow them. But I think that's a good idea.
That'll be my motion then, to extend it till the end of January and reset the clock. Yes.
Mike, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, next thing I have is last week we discussed several purchase orders and transfers for the end of the year. Had finally found a time that Jackie and I could get together last week to talk about things for his departments. So I made a new list, including his. There's 4 copies there.
Candy.
And that's what I kind of wanted Jackie to stick around long enough in case you guys had any questions, but, so the top part of that page is what was approved last week. If you notice over toward the right, there's an approved date of 12/21 on there. The only difference I have up there is on the purchase order for the treasurer for postage. We had put 9,000 in there last week, and when I reviewed her budget after bills were paid, she didn't have that much left, so we will reduce that to $6,000. And I told Janet about that this morning, and she understood. It was just some late bills we paid out of her budget. So that would be my change on that part. The bottom half of the page, I think all relates to departments that Jack deals with. And these were what we kind of looked at this past week. So just going down the list, the maintenance department would like to start putting some money away for a replacement pickup. And I know Rick Castle's suggestion, and Jack and I talked about it, was getting like a 3/4 ton with a snowplow attachment so they could use that around here would be his plan. Obviously 9,000 is not going to be enough to buy all that, but it would start to put some money away for it. The next one on there would be a purchase order, $25,000 for the comp plan. That is the IBTS is the company on that. That was something we thought we would probably be paying out during this past year, but due to COVID, everything got delayed, and we still have not made any payments on that. So that would be setting that money aside that was in this year's budget in a purchase order to pay for it. The next one on there was solid waste, and I think Jack and I'd actually talked about 100,000. But when I looked at the budget, when I reviewed it this weekend, 90 is all I've got left in there to apply on that one. And that was for.
Yeah, that, we're gonna have to replace that little track loader one of these days.
Okay, so I.
And put it over every year to build up to be able to purchase it.
So I had written truck on there. It should be track loader. After that, we're talking about a slide-in unit and other equipment for noxious weed. I had that on a couple of lines when Jack and I talked about it. It was about 15 on the slide in and then 20 to just reserve funds. I just lumped that together as a transfer to noxious weed eradication for 35 for that total amount. Going on down the list from the elderly department, the amounts that we paid last year on dues to East Central Kansas was $13,500. And then we paid another $21,500 on nutrition services before some extra that they asked for. That was the base fee when we started. So that would be purchase orders to pay for those things out of the elderly budget. And then ending with road and bridge. You've already got an order in, I think, for culverts from Metal Culverts Incorporated. So we have the exact amount there. They just have not been able to deliver yet. So that'd be a purchase order to pay for them. The one to Murphy Tractor, I think that was for the rock savers that were approved. So those have not been delivered yet either. And then a transfer of $250,000 to special machinery. And that would use up additional funds that were left in that account and would put them away for future equipment purchases. So that's the ones I had to bring to your attention today. That's why I wanted Jack to be here. If you've got any questions, he's going to be the one to ask about these things. These are all his departments.
So do we just need a motion to approve all this?
If you are ready to, that would do what I need done. Notice the column running down the right side where it says budget and there's a bunch of OKs. That's where I've checked all those against their budgeted funds. And then down at the bottom by fund, I have cash and carryover columns, which are the other things I need to look at to make sure we aren't spending more cash than we have by fund and that we're still carrying over as much as we plan to, and everything falls within those
These numbers will include the funds that we had or FEMA money, right?
And that's what we amended the road and bridge budget with, was a bunch of that FEMA money coming back. So this is putting some of that away, which is gonna, like that 250 to special machinery, it would put some of that money away for future equipment purchases, which in turn can free up more of next year's budget for rock or whatever else we need.
How you want it to read?
Well, what I have is I typed in here all the things I put on that, and then I just have moved to approve the purchase orders and transfers as presented.
That'll be my motion.
Second.
Move second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, the remaining thing I have to talk about. So all of these things are going to require, like all the purchase orders and entry in our accounts payable system. All the transfers actually require us to cut a check from one fund to another to clear that up. So I'm going to have Katie do a special pay the last day of the year to make these transfers. We've got to get it done in this year to make them effective. So I will need to get that pay approved. We also have a couple of places that haven't gotten their applications and everything done for cereal malt beverage licenses, which I expect them to get in this week. I've got one in, but we're still in the processing that one. And then there's still one more out there that may or may not turn one in. And then we have a list of year-end resolutions or New Year resolutions that we always do that I'm working on preparing this week. I would have liked to have had that ready for you today, and I just flat didn't get that far yet. Well, one will be the salaries for the year, which we've already talked about the 1%, so that covers the salary schedule. Be one for pay dates, which again is just us going through and writing down all those dates on the schedule that we're on. There's one for the approved banks that Janet uses, and she was having me add one more bank to that schedule this year because it's one she started using during this year. Holidays, we look at the same holidays every year. However, for 21, the New Year's Day holiday for 22 would actually be December 31st of 21 because New Year's Day will fall on Saturday. So that would be one slight change to that schedule. It's still the same holidays we've been taking. It's just one more of them's going to fall in the calendar year next year. We have one for not following GAAP on our accounting principles or accounting processes that we do every year. There's one for the official newspaper. And it seems like there ought to be one more, and I can't think of what it is right now, but I have my list of stuff to work up for the end of the year. So it would be good if we could get those approved on the last day of the year. If not, they could wait till next week, but I'm going to work on getting them ready. But I do think we probably need at least a phone meeting Thursday morning to approve these claims and any beer licenses that come in this week that we can process. The resolutions could wait till Monday if you didn't want to do them on the phone. So, and we could have the meeting in person if you want to do that. I just thought if that's all we've got for a special, we could probably.
Any of that stuff requires discussion, it's just a matter of saying, here it is, we approve it.
Don't we have we done this in the past by email? So you have a written yes?
Yeah, and I
no,
think an
text,
email,
whatever.
yeah, email would work too.
Yeah.
We still need to approach it as a special meeting, and I'll have to give notice to anyone that is on our list for notices. But yeah, by phone, by email, however you'd like to do it. And if you want to wait till next Monday to worry about the resolutions, that'd be easier because they're going to have to be signed. So we could hold off, and I'll just get them ready, and I'll probably go ahead and send them out so you can look at them. And I could leave that on my notice of have it on there in case we want to have a little email discussion about them if anything comes up. I think that would be appropriate. That way we could talk about them as part of a special meeting.
Yeah.
So you're at a time we all want to call in, or?
Well, do you want to just do it by email? Or, I mean, by emails, I will copy Jackie, and I think I've got a couple other people on my list that have requested notice of meetings.
All I say is the reason for email versus phone, if there's ever a question, any question years from now,
Yeah, and that's
you've got an email.
That's
saying
fine with
yes or no or whatever. Yeah, I'd just soon do it by email.
okay. So,
Person.
with it being by email, I don't know that necessarily, is it necessary to list a time then, or?
Time to be completed, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna have a special meeting, even if it's by email, I think you have to give a time when Jackie would know to be available to be watching for email. I really would be, I'm gonna see you do a phone deal.
Okay, that's fine.
The reason is, we don't want to accidentally create a link on your email that would cause you to later send somebody an email that you didn't mean to.
Okay.
Well, if we want to do it by
Phone.
phone, then what time would you guys like to do that? Say, I just need it by the end of that day so we can get it in this year's business, so I'm open for whatever time you want.
And if you do it by phone, you can do it where you're all on at once, or David could just call each one of you.
Yeah, we have a conference call number set up that we could use, and I can send that information out to everybody.
11 a.m.? That work for everybody?
Fine.
So I think it would be appropriate then to have a motion to schedule a special meeting by phone at 11 a.m. on Thursday, December 31st to approve year-end bills, resolutions, and cereal malt beverage licenses.
My motion.
Second. Move and second, all in favor?
Aye.
And like normal, I'll try to get that check register out ahead of time so you can see it. But unless there were some utilities or something that came in last minute that we needed to get out, my plan would be just to have these transfers and things in that one. Well, actually, and some spark funds, because we'll probably want to go ahead and cut some of those checks to get them out. But nothing unusual. I mean, just year end and trying to wrap things up.
Yeah.
And I think that's all I have.
I'm adding it in right now.
Anybody else have anything?
No. Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second. Move and second, all in favor?
Aye. So it should be written. So it should-
Chocolate?
When you didn't figure like this, but eating chocolate. You gotta eat pork chop.